All right. What's up, Internet? My name is Gray, like the color, and I own Retro Exchange here in sunny Peoria, Arizona, known on eBay, whatnot, and beyond as Rex for short. And today on Rex Knows What's Awesome, Funko Pops. Oh, come on, calm down the groans. I know there's people that love these things, and there's people that hate these things. But Rex Knows What's Awesome is the show all about positivity, so let's talk about why I think Funko Pops are awesome. First and foremost, you can get anything. I would like to be a fly on the wall of the Funko licensing department. Can you imagine how hard those people work? They must have 8 phones ringing in different offices because they have licensed something from just about every realm of pop culture, period. Video games, movie, TV, historical figures, comedians, anime, sports characters, wrestling, like poets, man. Like literally they have licensed an insane amount of things. And that's one reason they're awesome. I mean, we have a 6,000 square foot store here. We are not pop specific. We carry them, but we don't focus on them. But look at just what we have. That's our pop aisle. It's crazy, right? And there are whole stores like Toy Temple and other places that like pops are their thing. And they got these things by the thousands, okay? And part of it is because of that variety. It's incredible. And then there's another thing, and this might be a little, divisive, but I think Funko Pops have nailed something that the action figure companies have struggled with my whole collecting career. And ladies and gentlemen, that is scale, okay? I've been a toy collector my whole life, and scale is frustrating. I'm a kid of the 80s, okay? Back in the 80s, my dad, he loved the Fantastic Four. He actually believes he owned a Fantastic Four #1 when he was a kid in the 60s. He doesn't know what happened to it, but in any case, so he would sometimes drive me to comic book shops and buy me comic books. And one of the ones I very clearly remember getting was Marvel's G.I. Joe First Transformers. And I loved it so much, I named my first store after it, and those are the 2 toy lines that I carried. Anybody that's known me or has been around my career knows Joe and Transformers are my 1 and 2. And that comic book's awesome because those 2 things were combined into one story, and I wanted to replicate that on my toy shelf. But you can't, right? G.I. Joe's 3 3/4, Optimus Prime would have to be like 4 feet tall, right? So that's a scale problem. So let's just talk about, I'm gonna go on a rant now, okay, of action figure scales. So action figures really start with G.I. Joe 1964. He was 12 inches. He's a foot tall, all right? The people around the production of that were like, boys aren't gonna buy dolls, right? And so they came up with the word action figure. That really is something that Hasbro did to separate G.I. Joe from Barbie, okay? He's an action figure, not a doll, right? Even though he can take his clothes off and change his outfit and his accessories and stuff, doesn't matter, he's an action figure, okay? And then that kind of set the stage. Johnny West from Marx and other toy companies, $6 Million Man, everything was big. Then you get into the 70s, there was an oil price problem. Plastic comes from oil, so it's hard to make. And Kenner Star Wars goes whoop and shrinks toys to 3 3/4 inches and blows the toy industry out of the water. Kenner Star Wars was the thing, and everyone else had to adapt. Mego, 8 inches. They saw Star Wars, they shrunk to Pocket Heroes, 3 3/4. G.I. Joe, 12 inches. They saw Star Wars, shrunk to 3 3/4. 3 3/4 set the stage through the early 80s, with the exception of Masters of the Universe, right? But really, that was what it was. So if I loved He-Man, and I love Snake Eyes, He-Man's this big, right, with his thumb, right? And Snake Eyes is this big. They don't really work, okay? Scale is a problem. That's where Funko comes in. For the first time ever, you can collect all the things you love in the same scale. Never would I have thought I could have a Storm Shadow G.I. Joe, a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, a Transformer, a wrestler, and a guy from a movie all in the same scale. And Funko knows when something's supposed to be bigger, sometimes they'll even do these larger scale figures like Incredible Hulk and stuff, or Power Ranger Zords. They'll make them bigger. So Funko has nailed the scale problem. And I think that's pretty awesome, because if you're deep into this and you love a lot of things, From movies to cartoons, TV shows, vintage toy lines, comedians, whatever it is, sports, you can have a full collection of all the things you love in a consistent style and scale. Another thing I think is neat, I have a friend who very much collects these, and he buys baseball bat glass cases, right? Like they're long like this, they perfectly fit a loose pop. So he has mounted hundreds of baseball bat display cases with his pops standing in them, and it looks amazing. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we leave is there are pops that exist of things that there's nothing else on planet Earth for you to collect. My favorite movie of all time, numero uno for me, Mel Gibson's Braveheart, right? They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom. Oh, I love Braveheart. Gives me chills to think about. From the movie to the soundtrack, it's got everything. I think it's a masterpiece. There's no William Wallace action figure, but you know what? I've got his pop. So what's really cool is even really obscure things like that, you can get a pop for. So those are all the reasons I think Funko Pops are awesome. Like, subscribe, and all that stuff for more content like this. Thank you, congratulations, and enjoy.